Eloy Jimenez. We were all together.
R.I.P.I.P.
We were all together. We watched Eloy Jimenez run down the line and injure himself, stepping on first base. This is not the first time as a White Sox fan, if you've followed this team, that you've watched something like that happen. Steve, I'm going to need to just get through the Eloy beer here, this misery beer for yesterday's baseball game, before we can even get to tomorrow or today's game. And, once again, dude, Sean Roberts said it in a tweet, and Johnny quoted it out of the SoxOnTap account. It's always something. Steve, why the hell does it feel like a tradition for us at this point as White Sox fans to come to expect that this team cannot stay healthy enough to play ball games together? I think it was like 10 times they said that the core group, Jose Abreu, Tim Anderson, Eloy Jimenez, Yasmani Grandal, Yohan Moncada, these core guys, there's only been like 10 times since the start of last season that these guys have all been in the same lineup together. We watched Eloy go down yesterday. He was already dealing with some injury stuff. You've already got Luis Robert on the shelf. There's been injuries plaguing this team all over. What does this mean now, given the news that he is going to be out for 6 to 8 weeks?
I think what it means is, to quote former White Sox owner Bill Veeck, who famously once said that being a White Sox fan should free a man from any form of penance in the afterlife. And this is just another shining example of that. For whatever the reason, we are not allowed to have nice things. We are not allowed to have things go our way. Simply put, something always must go wrong, because that's just the way it goes.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough pill to swallow. It is a tough pill to swallow, because we just went through this drill, and you get through an entire rebuild where you've got all these core guys and you want to go out and see them play together in person. You want to go out as a White Sox fan, head down to the park and, see these guys that the team has amassed all play together, because that's what makes this team a good team, is when you have your big guys in the lineup. Obviously, there's going to be guys that come up, and you see Danny Mendick hit a home run today. You can scratch and claw, the next man up mentality. But at this point in time, Steve, it to me, it's starting to feel like just plain bad luck. Like there is nothing that can explain just how poorly this has gone. I don't understand why it always has to happen.
I don't think anyone has an answer for it. It's gotten borderline comical at this point. You can't make this stuff up. You see one guy come back. Eloy was kind of a little bit banged up, last week after fouling that ball off of his foot. He comes back after a couple days absence and then immediately goes down again. And, obviously given the circumstances with Luis Robert missing the entire weekend, Yohan Moncada hasn't played a single game this year. Lance Lynn hasn't made a single start. It's just, it's a comedy of misfortune at this point. I don't know what other word to use here. You just keep anticipating something bad is going to continue to happen. And I hate to come back to this, because I know we were talking about this in the group thread before the season started, and I said something just didn't feel right. I couldn't put my finger on it. I couldn't explain it. It's one of those baseball things that you just sometimes you get these feelings not based on any kind of rhyme or reason, and they just don't make sense. And here we are. And I know a lot of people want to say it's only 15 games and, weird stuff happens. You go through a bad 15-game stretch multiple times during the course of the season, and it is what it is. But I tweeted this out earlier today. This feels a lot of ways like 2007. You had, a team that was 2 years removed from winning a World Series, had won 90 games the year, following that. And then 2007, you had all these underperformances from guys like Jermaine Dye, Juan Uribe, Joe Creedy gets hurt. John Garland was bad. You go out, you trade for Gavin Floyd and John Danks, and they're bad. You have all these things going wrong. Tadahito Iguchi wasn't particularly good, then he ends up getting traded. So it's like you had all these different things go wrong from a team that had consecutive 91 seasons and everyone thought was going to contend again for an AL Central title. And just by late April, the whole thing was falling apart. And you look at right now with where this thing is at from an injury standpoint, and yeah, there's been a lot of bad luck with the batted ball data to this point, but the fact of the matter is they're not scoring runs. And everyone is just of this mindset and of this belief that it's going to turn around. There's just so much talent here. The batted ball data says it's going to get better. I lived through this. I saw it happen once already when everyone said it's going to turn around, it's going to turn around. And then by mid-June, it didn't turn around, and they lost 90 games. So,
well, Steve, it is April still, and I understand the significance of a 7-game losing streak. I just don't know if my mind is ready to go down and accept that this team right here is done out of it whatsoever. Like,
I'm not saying they're done out of it here, but I'm saying to the people that are out there that believe that you can just brush this thing off, that it's not a big deal, I think they're really underselling this, because the fact of the matter is, and I've harped on this point numerous times already, starting next weekend when the Angels come into town, this schedule gets really fucking brutal for a 6-week stretch. And they're playing this poorly right now and dealing with all these injuries. What's going to happen when the Yankees, when you got to deal with them 7 times, when you got to deal with the Ginger Sox 7 times, when you got to deal with the Jays 7 times? You know, you get 4 mixed in there with the Astros. You get 3 more mixed in with the Rays. You get the Dodgers. I mean,
you gotta hope that your rotation's doing a lot better at this point, and then you also have to hope that you get some bats back in this lineup. I look at this team, Steve, up and down, and it still seems like, at least to me, it still seems like all the pieces are here. There's question marks on every single ball club. You string together a couple of wins here. I think some of the narrative changes just a little bit. It just feels so bad right now because you haven't. This is the worst nightmare, because you were unable to now capitalize through this turn in the rotation on Dylan Cease and also Lucas Giolito and Michael Kopech. And now you've got to go back again through this whole entire thing and hope that you can stop the bleeding somewhere. But you needed that start from Lucas Giolito today. We're going to get into today's ball game. You needed that type of start from someone, because this rotation's been battered up and down this stretch, and especially with the fact that you've got all these games against divisional opponents. Let's not understate that either. Like, that's what makes this hurt even more. But you needed that start from Lucas Giolito today, and then you still get beaten. That's the problem here. You can't let that happen. There has to be a way to win that ball game, at least with Dylan Cease or Lucas Giolito giving you the types of starts that they can give you.